Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Cyrus Gray, and today is the 12th edition of our program, Election Central. Welcome wherever you are. Just for a start, one of our guests from the UK, Paul Chope, we just got word that he's not going to be here today. He just lost his younger sister in Liberia, so we'd like to convey our deepest condolences to him and his family as he goes through that. Today's program, we're going to be, we had hoped we'd talk about Liberia's maritime affairs, its history, current activities, and the prospects for the future today. But the biggest incident of last week have had us to push that to another day. So this week, today's edition, we're going to be discussing former Vice President Joseph Boakai's selection of the young Nimba Senator Jeremiah Koung as his running mate. We're going to be having a list of guests from all over the diaspora, from Canada, other places. As they come, we will usher them into the program. So initially, we will start with who is Jeremiah Koung, and how does his selection by Ambassador Boakai impacts his electability and his governance should he be elected president of Liberia. Today's program is dedicated to the memory of a famous African American who also passed this week on the 25th in person of Harry Belafonte. So, as we go through the program, we'll be running some of his track to remember this great artist and civil rights activist. So welcome again to Election Central, and let's all shun in our guests as we come on the other side.
I took a trip on a sailing ship, and when I reached Jamaica, I made a stop. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I had to leave a little girl in Kingston Town. Down at the market, you can hear ladies cry out while on their heads they bear. Ackee rice, salt fish are nice, and the rum is fine any time of year. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I had to leave a little girl in Kingston Town. Sounds of laughter everywhere, and the dancing girls swaying to and fro. I must declare my heart is there, though I've been from Maine to Mexico. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I had to leave a little girl in Kingston Town. Down the way where the nights are gay and the sun shines daily on the mountain top, I took a trip on a sailing ship, and when I reached Jamaica, I made a stop. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I had to leave in Kingston Town. Sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I had to leave a little girl in Kingston Town.
Like many of you share my vision about building this country better than anyone. And like many of you and many of us, we are the humble women, working very hard through the years to pull instead of our own wisdom to provide our family and community. My running mate is from Pakistan. He has fuel poverty and therefore understand the plight of the average person. And young people, the millions of Nigerians struggling to survive. It is therefore my pleasure at this time to announce the Senator Jeremiah Koung.
Well, there it is on Friday, the 25th. Former Vice President Joseph Boakai officially announced his choice of the running mate for the 2023 elections in the person of Nyemah County Senator Jeremiah Koung. The first segment of the program will be dedicated to getting to know who Koung is. We have a tape from his own voice where he explains a little bit about his history. Before we get to that, I'd like to introduce our first of our guests, Afanso Noma. Welcome to Election Central. Happy that we can have you today again.
Thank you, Brother Greg.
Okay, so while I wait for the rest of the people, I'd like us to take Jeremiah Koung word for what it is and listening on what he says about himself.
1978, 17 March. Koung. I was born in Yekipa, 1978, 17 March. My mother name is Esther Makaku. My father name is Adam Sonny Koung. My father used to work for Yekipa, and he was redundant 1983. I started school in Area C school in Yekipa, Nimba County. We had to move to Ganta in 1983 because my father was redundant. In Ganta, when we got there, things were difficult. And so I attended the Bayside Woolstown Rehab School. That school was built for people who suffer from leprosy at the time and other disease. They were built by the rehab to help children that could not afford. And so that is school I attended in Ganta. In 1985, right after the election and the coup, my aunt came, 86, my aunt came and took me to Buchanan, my father's younger sister. And I went to live with her. While in Buchanan, she's a disciplinarian person. And so I never had time to play football and play other things. That's why I don't even understand the football game up to today. What I know how to do best is housework. I can cook very well. Cooking is my passion. The same way other people go to watch football. That's how cooking is to me. In Bassa, I went to the first school I attended was the New Hope School. The New Hope School is around around Bidel, where they got Bidel Funeral Home on Asin Road, the government hospital road. Because there's a church there called New Hope.
Which year was that?
That was 1986. I attended that school. And I spent 1 year in that school and moved to demonstration in Buchanan. I attended demonstration. I was there for a year. And then I moved to WPL Bronski United School. I was there in the second grade in Bronski. I got promoted to the third grade. I was in the third grade in 1990 when the war came. And the war hit Buchanan May 1990, and we ran to Lac for refuge, and later came to Buchanan. Like I said, my auntie was a disciplinarian person who wanted me to grow up good and become a good child. But at a certain point as a child, I thought the whipping and thing was too much. And so one day my auntie wanted to whip me. I said, "Auntie, you're not beating me today." And I left the house. I moved out on my own at age 12. And since then, I've been living on my own from 12 years old to today. I was in Buchanan for a few years doing business. My first business was to start selling fish. That's the way the children sell fish on the road. I used to have fish in my hand selling. I started selling fish because I went to Fontaine Town in Buchanan. And I used to sleep in one guy's canoe. And one day the guy went to fishing in the morning. When I walk around all day, I go to the canoe and sleep. This guy went to fishing in the morning, about 5 o'clock they're supposed to go. And they saw me in the canoe. And then they grabbed me at the time. And he left me to a house. At that time, the criminal rate and thing wasn't like this, so people were very afraid to see children to take them home. And so he took me to a house. They went to fishing. There's a Ghana guy called Kwamina. I don't remember his last name. So I was with him for some time. And while there, because of the kind of work I do, cooking, cleaning up, so I took over the house and the key, everything was in my hand. Later, after some time, every time they come from fishing, we go all the canoe. They give me small fish, I sell, I save my money. So I was saving small money until I got some money and decided to I can move on my own now. I moved on my own, rented a room in Buchanan by 91. And I was living on my own, buying fish from the crew side, the fishing, because the crew people can fishing with hooks, so they catch a lot of fresh fish. They find people throw net, and sometimes the net, they slip over the sea. So I started selling fish to the guys on the road. When you come in from town, all the young guys selling fish, crab. And blessedly for me, I went to the Loop one time to sell and met, I think the late Nelson Taylor, Batu Taylor, and the whole crew. Tongo, you, and all of them, they were at, I think, Batu was nursing house in the Loop. They saw me as a young child selling big fish on my head. They sent for me, said they wanted the fish. So they tried to inquire who I was. I told them, look, I called my name and said, they asked me who you living with. I said, I came to live with my auntie, but I left the house. I'm on my own now. And they said to me, where is your parents? I said, my mother is in Nimba, my father in Nimba. And I don't know where they are now since the war. So they told me anytime I get fish, I should bring it there.
So you became that supplier?
I became a supplier. That was an opportunity. I thought to exploit that opportunity. So every time I make my first trip, my second trip, I make it to the Loop. And things started moving well for me. And later I flipped to buying oil, coconut oil from a place called Bioba. And now it should be now in Riverses. It's called Bioba. It's a long walking distance. But when you get to that place, the coconut, so many there on the beach. Dry fish. Start buying Pambe oil. Bringing it on the Pumatin. We used to call it train at the time. Pumatin 91, 92. We're on the train coming to Nimba, Yekepa to sell and go back. At the end of 92, I thought to find my parents. My last trip from Buchanan, I came to Nimba. At the time, the Autopause war was already starting. And so I moved to Yekepa. My father was a popular person in Yekepa. So I called him name. I called my name, called my father's name. My father was a washer radio repairer in Yekepa. Almost everybody in Yekepa know him. Almost everybody in Nimba know him. Adam Koung. And so I met him and called my name to him. and we got reunited again. I was there for some time. He was stopping with one of his brother, who is Charles Doe. I think they stay around today. And so I moved. He took me to where he was stopping. I moved in, and my uncle wife, his brother wife, who is my uncle wife, was not too happy because he's stopping with them, then he's bringing his child, and so maybe he will start bringing all his children in their house. She has some issue.
How come before you move into the other one, you mean that your father is from the southeast? It's to my understanding, right?
Yeah, my father
Like,
came
from.
My father came from Sino in the 60s.
Okay.
In such a job. He told me his first working place was the Mano River. I think there was a mining company there. From there, he went to bomb mines. He was a nuclear operator. Nuclear is this big machine that do the mining. And so from bomb mines, he left for Yekepa, the late 60s, I think 69, where he got a job. He met my mom in 1974 and got married to my mother. And I was born 1978. And so that's just a gist of my father.
So all throughout, when you left and met with your father, were you in school at the time, or what did you do?
No, I wasn't in school at the time.
Okay.
All that time,
you like hustling?
I was hustling, trying to take care of myself, find food and things, you know. When I left the house first, I used to be at the Naza supermarket on Tottenham Street in Buchanan, where when the people bring a truck, we offload it. Sometimes they give you 25 cents at the time. So it was big money at the time, 50 cents. You know. And so in Yekepa, when I went with my father home, my uncle Charles Doe's wife had some issues. But the next day, when I got her cleaning the kitchen, washing dishes and things, they used to fix the blue soap. The soap used to be in a bar, a long bar. You can buy the custard, the palm oil, burn it, mix it, put blue in it. Those soaps, that particular soap is not around today. Those are the market they used to do. And so my first 3 days in the house, she started liking me because I used to cook, I used to clean up, I used to do housework. And I started selling soap, going to sell at certain point, going to Camphor and other places selling. So she asked my father for me to stay with her. And so I was there selling soap, cooking. In fact, one is 12 in Yekepa at the time. It was Linko at the time. When people coming from work, by 12 o'clock, everybody got to rush home for lunch. And so my friends used to call me Mere. So I had a friend who was a Bassa guy. He myself used to speak Bassa. So as soon as 12, a group of them would come together, stand behind the house and say, Mere, then I say, yo, then the food ready. They come and we all eat together. By now the 3, the Duruba war started. I decided to find my mother. So I came to Ganta, told my father's brother's wife, my uncle's wife, that I was moving to Ganta to find my mother. We live in the Toa yard, there where our house is. So I went to the yard. When I got to the house, we were in the bush. Since 1990, nobody there. There were some neighbors by the house, so I asked whether they knew the woman who owned the house and where she was. They told me she went to Guinea, in a place called Bala. And they directed me, so I went to the border, crossed the border, went into Guinea, and went to the refugee camp. Saw my mother. She didn't know me again. I didn't know her again. But I was traveling with her name. And so we got reunited. And I spent some time with her. And I was there up to 1995. While there, we used to come across the border to buy Kenju to go sell.
I'll tell you what. Um, as a disclaimer, that was Senator Jeremiah Koung, just recently selected by uh, former Vice President Joe Boakai as his running mate for the October 10, 2023 presidential elections. As a disclaimer, I come from Nimba County too. Our story is almost the same. I met Jeremiah Koung once. Introduced to me by, if I were sitting at a place we frequent in Monrovia called the 19th Street Parliament, and two of our normal members there are the Senator General Sigwe and Darren Dillon. So apparently Dillon sent for Kun, who may have been passing in the neighborhood, and he happened to introduce me and the other guys there to the Senator Kun. I found him to be very, very humble. You know, he was on his way to Nimba for some county event. Had a trouble there with stuff. But that's the closest I've gotten to him. And this recording is probably the other thing that gave me a little more picture about his humble beginning. But Alfonso, have you met this guy or heard of him? And what's your impression about his story?
So I haven't met him, and until today or until Friday, probably haven't even. No, I've heard him talk once on tip during a discussion about a Carrot Grace trip to the University of Liberia campus.
Yeah, I
That
think
was
I
the
saw
first
I saw
time.
that too with the
Yeah,
police director at the Capitol, right?
exactly. That was the first time I saw and heard Mr. Jeremiah Koung speak. And then, of course, the second time is today. His story is moving, it's touching, definitely. Unfortunately, it is the life story of many young people in Liberia, even to this day. The challenges that young people face in that country, the lack of investment in the development of young people, and his life, from the way he explained, reflects that. It also kind of is a reflection of what's going on with a lot of young people actually selling in the streets today. Throughout, especially Monrovia, but also throughout the country. It's definitely a very moving story.
Missing in that story is the fact that he's one of he's one of the poster child of the Nimba commercial renaissance. He's one of the richest guy from Nimba.
Mm,
Owns a lot of real estate. I heard in
mm,
one time in one of his statements he said that he he leased his buildings to the peacekeepers
mhm,
for well over $10,000 a month
mhm,
for the duration of their stay in Liberia.
mhm, mhm,
So he has significant investment in the Nimba area and has some money. But he's also been a member of the House Ways and Means Committee, then
mhm.
also a member of the Senate Ways and Means Committee. So he's not everything he's saying doesn't cover everything. So the beginning of this program, look at Jeremiah Koung Young. He's 45 years old,
Mhm.
and how does he bring value to Ambassador Boakai's electability?
So talking to some before I actually came on this show, I made it my business to get the perspective of the Boakai people. I've listened to the perspective from the other side, so I try to get their perspective before coming here as well, to be able to present a balanced perspective and contribute to a balanced discussion. One of the reasons, according to them, why he was selected is his youth, to contrast for several reasons. One, to contrast Boakai's age, but also to appeal to the young people to say that, hey, you have a seat at the table. Your voices will be heard through this young man, and then of course to also say to them, um, you all who are out there and struggling today, young people selling, whether you're selling in the market, whether you're walking several miles to school, etc., that you have a seat at the table. And to demonstrate that, we will bring a representative from your ranks to the highest echelon of leadership. That's what they say. Of course, there are concerns on the other side of the divide, but I'm sure we'll get to those concerns as well. But basically, to answer your question directly, what does he bring to the ticket? That's what Boakai and his people are saying, that his youth, his entrepreneurship, his experience as a young man struggling to make ends meet, and his success story really getting there as a businessman, pull himself up by the bootstraps. I think I listened to Ambassador Barker's statement. He specifically made this comment: pull himself up by the bootstraps. Is to send a message to young people that all is not lost, and if we provide you all with and our administration will provide you with the wherewithal to make it as well.
Okay. I mean, there are a lot of things that come to my mind when you say what they say
Mhm,
drives them, and I will deal with that when we come to discuss the issue of governance. But one of the things that's glaring about this entire issue is that it was engineered by Prince Johnson.
mhm,
So even talking about the youth and that youth, we know that Prince Johnson is known to be uh, a vote gatherer in Nimba County.
mhm,
This year he's not on the ticket
mhm,
for the presidency because his position as senator is also being contested. So Prince Johnson this is Prince Johnson's guy, and a few
mhm,
months earlier, Prince Johnson had elevated him in his party to the party political leader
mhm.
and negotiated this. I got this chart on the board. That's actually showing the numbers from the last election.
Yep.
So it's the Nimba numbers. There are total of 200, and then there were a total of 214,000 votes in Nimba. And Prince Johnson took about half that number.
Mhm.
In the first round of the election, his vote tally was 107,000, just around a little over half of that number. There were another 50,000 persons who didn't turn out to vote at all. So if you look at that, that is what elevates the Prince Johnson story in Nimba for people running to be president, because
Mhm.
they believe that they are well. I mean, Jeremiah Koung is young. He has a story, but that is not unique to Koung. You can find
Right.
a lot of people who fit in that category.
Precisely.
I,
Precisely.
I believe the main driver is the votes and also possibly the finances. If you
Mhm.
go back to 2017, it turned out one of the reasons why Emmanuel Nokwe was selected by the vice president was because he, coming out of the Ways and Means Committee, he was coming with some money, and money money matters. So I mean, and, let's not just not joke ourselves about it. So
Yeah.
the question will I would like us to discuss.
Yeah.
The vice president is of age.
Yep.
One of the arguments advanced by Senator Balu in our last section here in advocacy for a Boakai communist ticket was that uh, Boakai was the past, and anything could happen. So his idea was that Cummins, with the pedigree that he had, would be the best person attached to Boakai because he would be ready to be president on day one.
Mhm.
Do you get a sense that Jeremiah Koung is ready to be president on day one?
So I do not know, as I said from the beginning, I do not know Jeremiah Koung. But what I've just listened to is basically his upbringing and his struggles as his upbringing. But there was nothing in it regarding his ideology, regarding his, leadership credentials, etc. And that is somebody I haven't been following, so I can speak authoritatively to that. I do have some concerns, however, about his, ability and whether or not he will be ready on day one to lead. I also do have some concerns about, you spoke about the Prince Johnson factor earlier. That is also a concern, given the fact that Prince Johnson again has been a lightning rod in Liberia when it comes to the issues of war crimes and accountability. And also, lately, when it comes to the issue of corruption, he's under sanctions by the U.S. government for various acts of corruption, including pay to play. And of course, you just mentioned that Kung has been on the Ways and Means Committee of the House and
Oh, what's the
and the
means?
Ways and Means Committee of the Senate as well. It looks like people on this way. It looks like Ways and Means Committee is a pathway to being selected as a running mate, at least by Omen Boakai. But is he ready? To go back to your question, do I believe he's ready on day one? I do not know. I think we need to do a lot of research about it. And I just can't speak exactly. But what I'll tell you is I do have concerns about his connections to Prince Johnson. I was talking on a sister show the other day, and two gentlemen from another political party that's also contesting were saying, "Oh, the selection of Jeremiah Koung will mean that there will be no accountability for human rights in Liberia. It means the corruption will continue in Liberia, etc." I like to, in a way, I mean, I challenge them on it. In as much as I think there will be some influence, I also think that in Liberia and in democratic societies, that the agenda is set and implemented by the president, not the vice president. We have a current vice president, who we jokingly know the finance minister can even prevent appropriations to her office. We also know that something similar happened to Boakai. At least he claimed. Talbot was vice president of Tottenham for 19 years. He didn't shine. We didn't hear much about him. So, in as much as I have concerns about the Prince Johnson factor and what Jeremiah Koung's own philosophy is, I think there's also another view that we should look at, which is that Mr. Boakai, it's on record repeatedly saying that he will enforce accountability in the rule of law as it relates to war crimes, as it relates to holding people accountable, and he will prosecute people. I think rather than, it's important for us to talk about his selection, but at the same time, I think it's important, me coming from the civil society background, that we in the civil society movement should go beyond making this argument and basically throwing in the towel to advocating and making sure that he's held accountable to his previous statements that he will do all of these things that we want him to do.
Okay, okay, good shake. To add on to that, maybe create more questions. I mean, we're mature enough to know that for you to name a vice presidential running mate, uh, that selection has to bring some value
Yep.
to the whole idea of your candidacy. So the first set of values you probably will be looking at is, well, does this guy help me to win?
Yep.
And then you'll be looking at how does this guy contribute to governance, which I think we don't pay too much time to in
Hmm.
election circles about
Hmm.
the governance side. But I think we can talk about it a little later on this. But let's come to the electability.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, Kun coming from Nimba County is just one thing because it was not Kun, it was not Prince Johnson numbers are not Kun's number.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
you follow the senatorial elections between Kun and what's the lady name? Tevon
Oh,
Gonglos.
yeah. Edith Gongolo.
It was highly competitive and
Yeah.
highly contested. Had it not been for the two members of the CPP feeding candidates,
Hmm.
because of
Hmm.
an issue where Taiwan Way of the ANC side decided to run anyhow as an independent candidate. If you took Taiwan Way's vote and added it to Gonglo's vote, they were way over Kun's vote, even though
Hmm. Hmm.
he won the seat. So on his own, it does not appear to me that he's able to
Hmm.
get it, especially considering now you have Tewon Gonglo is in the race in the mark. So I mean, whether you like it or not, he's going to pick up some of those votes.
Hmm.
There's significant work that has been done by the communist group through Musa Ability and others in the Lower Nimba Settle PA area. I hear they electrified hundreds of villages and they got movement going on there. So I know that will shake the votes. I'm trying to figure out what value from the electability standpoint who may represent to Ambassador Boakai that is not in the other people that were being considered, Young Kang, Costa, where Costa, I would say that was a bit of sort because though Costa was the one blowing its own horn all along. So what value you think that because Kung has not been in the public
Yeah.
glare.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nobody know his not only his garden philosophy but socially. I
Yep.
mean, yes, he explains. He come from the hustle. And he made his living out of it. But he's been in the peripheral.
Yep.
I'm wondering what the party sees in it. And
Mm-hmm.
the other side of the coin to that question is what is he going to lose by taking Kun from an electability standpoint?
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
before you come to that, Fonso, I want to ask because we're a little bit on Prince Johnson here, and the
Yeah.
Prince Johnson factor is either elevated in some areas, it's been downplayed in some area. But I pull a tape on Prince Johnson's own impression about war crimes code. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it so we can get some context to this discussion about the, the honorable leader of the Nimba people.
That Senator Johnson is a revolutionary. I'm not afraid of war crime court. But if you want to bring war crime court to Liberia on the basis of the TRC, then I will tell you plain blank no. Why? Because the TRC is full of irregularities, fraud, that brought division among the ranks and file of the components of the TRC Commission.
Now listen to that. It doesn't seem to me. It doesn't sound like a guy who handed his Nimba influence to Joe Boakai without putting the war crime code issue on the table.
Yeah. Yeah. I would think that we should take him up on it. We should take him up. we should we should definitely take him up on his demand or request or whatever that he's not afraid of war crime. Well, let's take him up war crime prosecution.
He says he's not in front of war crime, but he does not agree with the method that we are pursuing through the TRC recommendations, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
right, and that's what's on the table. I sometimes
Yeah.
he argues that the legislature in Liberia granted those who are committed crimes in the war some immunity.
Mhm.
I'm not sure he got lawyers who would tell him that when it comes to the issue of international humanitarian laws and crimes committed, there's no immunity that any
Yeah.
government can
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
can, can give,
Yeah.
and there are no statutes of
Of
limitation.
limitation. Yeah. And
Yeah,
one
so
thing he also doesn't perhaps understand that we need to hammer home is that very arrangement he's talking about was an arrangement that the warlords themselves imposed
yeah,
through the peace agreement, giving themselves immunity. But as you correctly said, that immunity wouldn't hold because international law does not permit that to hold. So again, I think Mr. Johnson's argument is flawed and uninformed in that regard. But let me take the conversation about war crimes and punishment of crimes against humanity further. Again, we have commitments from politicians saying that they will implement the TRC recommendations, which, as you correctly said, is what's on the table currently. I would like to add to that I think we as citizens of Liberia can push their hand, can force their hand by beginning to even go to court and on civil charges against these people. So, for example, if any family member knows that Prince Johnson and all his forces play a role in killing any of their relatives and burning their towns and villages, destroying their homes and their future, there's nothing that stops them. In fact, Liberian criminal law provides for people to go to court and sue these people if not for the criminal offenses, civilly, to hold them accountable to for their crimes. So accountability is not only limited to criminal penalties, criminal prosecutions, and criminal penalties. We can pursue civil cases, civil litigation, and civil penalties against them as well. Imagine a child in let's say in Bung Mines, where I heard Prince Johnson is a group allegedly committed crimes, or even across the bridge where he was, and he was known to be at least allegations, because I wasn't there, to have killed a lot of innocent people, parents. Maybe the children of some of those parents can begin, assisted, of course, by civil society organizations, to take some of these people to court and really challenge their bluff about bring Walker and Co. Bring Walker and Co. I think part of it is they know that we do not have the system, we do not have a legislature, and unfortunately, we haven't had a leadership that will bring the Walker and Co. So I think that it's all a bluff. But I think as citizens, we can begin to challenge them and take them up on what they're saying, including what Prince Johnson just said, that he's not afraid of accountability. Maybe let's go sue him.
Yeah, okay. So I think it make a lot of sense. There's nothing in the way except to ask, do you think our judicial system is such that a case like that, where heavy weight in government, will actually be pursued, and the implication that if it does
Mhm.
get heard, it will open the room for many other people to because why are people not doing it? Is it that people may not probably have confidence in the system, or we have sold the whole accountability issue to mean that no, it has to be internationally recognized or war crime code. I'll hold you to that for a second. You speak to that, Alfonso. Let's recognize and bring in our friend James Wright. He's from Windsor in Canada. James, welcome again to Election Central. I see you are muted, so if you can unmute, we will hear you better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gray. Thank you very much to you, Alfonso. I'm a little bit late, but it's the time difference. I miscalculated the time.
That's all right. That's all
Yeah,
right. You're here.
it's out there. I just got home and I was struggling to get in.
Good to see you, brother. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm from Windsor here in Canada.
Welcome.
Yes, sir.
Welcome.
Okay, Alfonso, tell me why are people not pursuing these charges that we many of us who are advocating and know that it can be brought
Mhm.
to court.
Mhm. Yeah. So, number of factors, I would say, and you did touch on some of them, that our people somehow believe that the only way that people can be held accountable, A, is through criminal means, and B, is through the international or even through the government. That somehow the legislature must approve the recommendations of the TRC, that the president must agree and set up, a process, a tribunal, etc., which is not entirely the case. I mean, that would be a way where we can comprehensively create a system that brings everybody on a one jurisdiction. But that is really not the only way, and I believe at this point that that's probably not a very viable way, given that we haven't, and I don't think we currently have a legislature, and that we'll have a legislature in the near future that will
And
somehow.
more, and also we are hedging the either to bring war crime or not on a political quid pro quo.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
basically, that's what it said. I mean, the Weah administration, when Weah came in,
Yeah.
before coming in, he said he would pursue
Yeah.
the war crime code. When
Hmm.
he started soliciting support from Prince
Yeah.
Johnson,
Yeah.
and when he took over, he said, "Well, I don't think that the argument was that the other people didn't do it. Why are you
Yeah.
trying to make
Why,
us?
why you think I should do it?
Why are you trying to make us
so
do it?"
so so this way of civil suits, I believe, well, it's the way that citizens on their own can go without relying on a president or a legislature. And I believe that that can even force the hands of the legislators to take some action. Imagine if you now have a Prince Johnson, a George Bulley, another warlord, the Montes, etc., taken to court. Let's say there's a suit in There's a suit in Maryland. There's another suit in Cape Mounts, another suit in Bass, another suit in Monrovia of these type of laws being taken to court. I'm sure it would jolt the system to the point that the system will begin to take note. Now, of course, private citizens might not be aware of this process, or they might not have confidence in the judiciary. To that, what I would say is two things. One, we have an obligation to create awareness among our people. We have an obligation to even take some of them by the arms and help them file these cases because they're not lawyers and they probably can't do that.
They probably
But
don't have the resources.
and they don't have the resources. So again, civil society organizations can help in that regard. But also, whether or not we believe that a certain court or that the judiciary will render the right verdict, I think should not be our concern from the beginning. Of course, we should expect to win, but we accomplish either way. We accomplish something, whether or not we get a guilty verdict. And here is why I say so, really briefly. One, we will be challenging these people and dragging them to court, bringing them into public focus and public disrepute.
Okay.
And shaming them publicly. That's another way of holding people accountable. The second thing is we will be at the very least exposing the corruption and ineptitude in the judiciary by saying, my people, you see, the system is corrupt and it's not pursuing this process. We'll also be bringing them into international disrepute as well. So again, we can accomplish without actually winning cases specifically. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay, Jomo, maybe you should come in, Jomo, by answering this guy's question. Mamalu Sion.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see it?
Yeah, Mabulu got a concern here. He said, but the Nobel laureate won twice with the support of the senator from Nimba. Also, he said the peace ambassador won with the support of the senator from Nimba. He said, is anything wrong with the former vice president choosing his running mate from Nimba? You see, most time, I know Nimba is a very rich vote-rich county in Liberia. But what most of these people who are concerned about fail to calculate is that what is the percentage that any average candidate got in Nimba? It also depends on, but who are those during that time, that were able to accumulate these votes or bring these votes over for these guys to win. Certain characters can become relevant over time. Remember now, what my fellow comrade is saying here is that there were times in Liberia where the voice of Prince Johnson was very loud and relevant. Over time, I can guarantee that when the people have learned and we have circulated our electoral process to an extent, those voices will no longer seem to be relevant. Individuals will come up. So yes, Nimba being a rich vote county, but choosing individuals from there at this day, especially with the present choice of VP coming from there, it depends on the individual themselves. I ask this question because I'm concerned about it. I'm trying to respond to you, my brother. Who is Jeremiah Koung? Is he that popular in Nimba County or favorite in that being a son of Nimba, that the electorate will rally their vote simply because of Jeremiah Koung or any other individual Nimbayan hailing from Nimba? There are other astute sons of Nimba that are there, though they're not on the full front yet. But I'm looking at his personality. I'm looking at his political career, all right, how he has been diving into the political atmosphere from the time he got on the stage. Will he be able to galvanize the vote from Nimba County this time around? I'm saying to you, brother, it's not going to be easy for him to galvanize it for several reasons. The two elections that Jeremiah Koung took part in that he supposedly won were controversial, and the people in Nimba can attest to that. I can tell you now from our friends and other people on the ground in Nimba County, even if you made a calculation, I doubt it if Jeremiah Koung will be able to govern at 50% of electoral vote.
The question is not the issue is not Jeremiah Koung's vote. The issue is Prince Johnson's vote. That's the why would I, that's the strategy. That's what's driving Jeremiah Koung on his own. Probably would not be considered for that position, except for the fact that he is Prince Johnson's protege. Now, let me, Mr. Sale, the question you asked to end your statement is anything wrong with the former VP choosing a running mate from Nimba? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, is there anything wrong with the people of Liberia subjecting that selection to scrutiny? There's also nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong, no.
So go ahead.
So yes, I did mention earlier that there was a time in Nimba County that the voice of Prince Johnson was very, very relevant. Over time, his voice, I can say, whether he raised anybody's hands up or not, would not be that relevant compared to maybe 10 or 12 years ago. You understand? The same thing that happened with the present CDC government. There was a time in the CDC government that when the president raises your hand or any citizen, you got the vote. And that came a time also that despite whatever the Liberian electors have seen, that the voice become no longer relevant. I'm saying to you that Prince Johnson cannot pull a 50% vote for any candidate from Nimba County.
Well, he pulled 50% vote for himself in the last election. Okay, look, I said earlier that on Friday we lost a civil rights icon and global artist in the person of Harry Belafonte, and we were dedicating this program to his memory. So we're gonna begin to discuss what made the vice president lose in the selection of Jeremiah Koung when we come back. But for now, let's do one of this track from Harry Belafonte.
Yeah.
Daylight come and walk, oh, that. Mizete. Daylight come and one go home. Work all night and a drink a rum. Daylight come and we one go home. Stack banana till the morning come. Daylight come and we want go home. Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight come and we want go home. He said, come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. Daylight come and we want go home. Lift 6 and 7 and 8 and bunch. Daylight come and we want go home. 6 and 7 and 8 and bunch. Daylight come and we want go home. He said, daylight come and we want go home. He said, daylight come and we want go home.
I tell you, seeing daylight has come.
Mm-hmm.
And
Cyrus, this is actually a protest song, a revolutionary song. So basically, what is and that's where Harry Belafonte really stood out. He was not just a musician, a civil rights icon. He also organized USA for Africa. That song that raised hundreds of millions of dollars to support the anti-apartheid movement and other struggles, revolutionary struggles in Africa. And this song is really dedicated to workers. How, the people on the plantation, the workers were struggling. They were working all night, just on a rum. And they were calling the tally man, which is actually the overseer, to come and count
the hours and count the
how many bananas
they've taken.
so you can pay us so we can go home. Yeah,
Time, man.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, Pastor, thank you for that, man. Look, okay, like we talk about what the VP Boakai could gain, and now I'd like us to talk a little bit about what he may lose, and I will start that with just probably giving you a context from my subjective perspective, right? So the key uh, partners with VP Boakai over the last year and a half have been Ben Layure, his ALP, and which includes Costa, Megan or you know, Megan or and the other half of the Liberty Party camp. I don't know what I should say half because the impression that our friends, including my good brothers in the dealer, would lead me to believe is that what Musa has is the frame of the party, and he, Yomli, and the rest have the numbers, and it's the numbers that matter. But I feel that the Bakai's decision to exclude Yomli, which is his discretion, is consequential. If you realize that almost 2 years ago, the whole breakup of the CPP was predicated around this issue of whether you prefer Alexander Cummings to be the head of the CPP or Joe Boakai. And Nyemah and her group opted publicly to support Joe Boakai. Because Musa Ability, who was the chairman of the party, did not acquiesce. This led to a wrangle. They tried to unseat him. The Elections Commission refused because the documents from the last convention showed he was the chairman, and the chairman is the day-to-day administrator of the party, and they've been in and out of court. I'm suspecting that the decision of the Supreme Court quite recently, re-emphasizing that the Musa wing of the Liberty Party were the official wing, may have influenced the vice president looking in another direction in a way. And why do I say that? When elections come around, the nominees from a party are sent to the Elections Commission by the party, by the official representative of the party. That means signed by the chairman of the party. So the process in determining who will run for representative, who will run for the Senate bearer position from a party perspective, come from the party. So what will Yomli be giving to Boakai if they wanted to have a representative supported in Bond County, in Bassa County, in Magiri, River Cess, Moserado, where you have the rich Bassa base votes high, when in fact the Liberty Party may be sending somebody that may not be in the camp of Yomli. So I think that winning of that influence as a result of those continuous decisions of the court may have made them a little more unsuitable. But if you flip the coin, they are not happy about it. So how does that hurt Buckeye?
Let me wait in a little bit. You see, and this is why I always said, when you come into a coalition, politics, when people say politics is interest, this is one outplay that we are looking at right here. You come into a coalition, all right? The impasse in the Liberty Party, indeed, is a stumbling block for Boakai. As you rightly stated, we don't know what percentage or what half of the party that Nyemah holds legally to speak and make decisions on behalf of the party, to lure anyone into those positions you just mentioned, those who are supposed to go for senator. These are decisions that are supposed to be made by the officers of the party, legally with whatever document filed the Elections Commission. Ability has that legality. So when you say holding the document and holding the people are two different things, because it is a legal arm that leads you to the people. You understand? So what we're going to have now is it's going to give a blow because they didn't sit down. The coalition team should have sat down and decided whatever arrangement they were coming into. I haven't seen any document apart from when they were formally the CPP before the Liberty Party split came in and everyone went their separate ways. Nyemah line with Boakai on that side of the Liberty Party. You are still within a coalition aligning with Boakai. So 3 remain now. What is our new arrangement? I didn't see that. You see, this is what bringing the dissent in there. So I think, from my perspective, it's going to harm Boakai a whole lot because it's going to split the party base. A lot of the partisans are there who are going to be confused. Now they're going to start going for individuals and don't pay any more party loyalty because we don't know legally where the party loyalty lies. So it is going to hurt the Boakai camp, to tell you the truth.
And from the statement that was released by Senator Yumli Kanga, it appeared that they didn't even massage there's no finesse.
See?
Right? I mean, the statement, according to the statement, the vice president and his team called the ALP people with Ben Nayiri and Yumli and her team
Yes.
to a meeting a day or two before the announcement to inform them that the two groups are not under consideration anymore for the position of vice president, as though there has not been some kind of consultation in order to ease the the impact of the decision, considering what everybody thought that they have sacrificed for. Because whether you like it or not, I mean, the notion is that the vice president would name their candidate. That is in a normal situation where you have a single party, you name a standard bearer, and he selects who he wants to run with him. Even that, with consultation with key people. But you have a situation like this where you have fragile groups that are aligned with you, and they're only aligned with you not because they really like you.
Yes.
They're trying to ensure that their own interests are protected, and so that if you're making a decision, that they have hope, because they were not even secret about it. Both Henry Costa and Senator Yomli Kanga were very vocal about how they would like to be named as vice president. I mean, you listen to the famous Costa tape, Megan to all, yeah, Megan to all, Boakai, Megan to all. So with the circumstances as they are, it appears that if there's not any serious statesmanship and negotiation, this story has just started.
Yeah. I mean, it does have the process does have the potential, definitely, of undermining, their coalition, whatever you may call it, and of their ability to work together. But as you correctly said, Cyrus, a short second ago, is that is the way they can manage the process going forward. I think that's what's more important at this point. I did see the statement from Yumbly and her wing of the party. Um, yeah, it had there are places in that statement where you would say, "Damn, that they're so upset that they're
Yeah.
leaving." But there are other places in the statement where you can say, "You know what? There's still room." Now, the outcome, the situation does have the potential, definitely, of affecting Boakai's ability to win votes across the aisle from that other side. But I also believe that um, it would depend on the outreach, what they do going forward, and what Yumbly and Costa and Nure might be looking for going forward in the process. I think they also do have some constraints. For instance, what does Yumbly do? Does she go back to the Liberty Party and say, "Mr. Ability, I'm back and I'm here to join you because somehow Mr. Boakai didn't pick me"? I think that has a potential also.
Yeah, that should be coming from a weak position. But I mean,
Exactly.
I'm assuming that the Liberty Party should be anxious to try to mend the fences
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
swell the numbers again. But on that, Alfonso, maybe I should throw this anywhere between
Mhm.
you and right could answer. Is there anything that we know
Mhm.
from previous experiences with the Vice President Joe Boakai that have proven his ability to navigate these kinds of situation? it's hard for me to see because I mean I can point to the very CPP where he was chair. I can point to the fact that the way he even handled this announcement of somebody who didn't have any stake in the game with them all along. That Jeremiah Koung was not he was not in the trenches with them in the court case with Cummings and all that. He was not involved. He was on the side. If you're picking a guy like that and bringing him in, no matter the circumstance, you got to be able to build some kind of consensus, or else you might be winning one side and losing another side. It will be interesting to point to anything that suggests that the vice president and his team can actually navigate this. I will add another example. Last week we had Senator Balu, who has been advocating for a joint ticket with Cummings and Vice President Boakai. And one thing always came out when they were asked, has the Vice President made any formal request to Cummings or even an overture? The answer was always no. So you are expecting an outcome, but you don't have a means to pursue it.
Yeah, so I do not know any track record. Again, I haven't been associated with them. I don't work with them and their inner working, so I wouldn't know. But on the surface, you're right. Where I haven't seen anything on the surface that suggests that, or that has happened in the past. Um, again,
I will give you another example.
uh-huh,
Madam Sirleaf.
mhm,
Madam Sirleaf, the vice president worked as vice president for Madam Sirleaf for
mhm,
12 years.
mhm,
In the real world, I mean, let's talk so. In the real world, when people are trying to assess you, most times they will ask you that they want to talk to your associates, most of your boss, the person who you work with under the circumstance, and that person is basically a clearinghouse for you. It really is there a case where you have somebody work together for 12 years and they have an impasse that cannot be resolved?
Well, so there are two things here. Sorry, there were two things here. So number one, Mr. Salif made public pronouncements that it was time for the young people. I know she said that when she came to the United Nations General Assembly. I know she also had groundbreaking for a road, the Banga Medicoma Highway, where she had Mr. Weah and Mistress Taylor, and not her vice president. We also heard statements from the Vice President Boakai himself saying that there were disagreements between him and Mr. Salif. He did say that there were some opportunities that were squandered by Mr. Salif. He did say that he wasn't consulted on many things by Mr. Salif. So again, these are grain of salts that we can take from why their relationship went the way it went. I mean, he did. So they both are on record, basically criticizing one another for whatever they might have done. We were not in the room.
Where is the statesmanship? That's what I'm asking about because look, in the game that they're all
Mhm,
involved in,
mhm,
this is the tool that's used to be able to even swallow bitter pills, and the
mhm,
vice president is the one who is in the position of need.
mhm. So, given where I come from, meaning my position of advocacy, I wouldn't support. I would support people coming out and speaking up about ills, and even within the government, even between friends, calling the friend to book and saying, "Hey, what you're doing is wrong." And we need to do better for our people. We're here to serve the people. I would support that. I wouldn't go the route so much of massaging people's egos just to get their support.
But in the end, what you are looking for an outcome. You want to be president. You also want to govern,
That's
and,
why.
even
That's why I'm not.
even
That's why I'm not running for anything.
even in governance, there will be circumstances that things will get so there, and you may not want to talk to people, but for the greater outcome, there will be you will have to have some kind of mechanism by which you can really be able to find some balance for things to progress. And I'm asking this question is just it's not an attempt to to smell or to throw spell on the vice president, but we're going to the election. We talked earlier about electability. Uh,
And
how are we fumbling with the chance that we might lose the people we already have? because we got some more people.
And let me throw in something, Cyrus. Sometimes, like as you stated, the three occasions where there has been, should I call it, dispute or inner wrangling with Boakai and some of his, political friends. I look at the whole situation, it has always been uncompromising. I'm looking at both sides, for example, with the Ellen and the Boakai saga. Why were there not much cooperation between both of them when they're supposed to be working at least together, coming from the same party? Who was not compromising and for what reason? As a VP or as a politician, senior person in the political arena, my brother, if you have an impasse with the electorate, if you cannot communicate to us your stand as to why you are not in coherence with your president, for us to know, so that we can gain, so you'll be able to gain some sympathy, at least because you're going to come back, as you already stated, he was the one that was in need. Ellie was going out. She didn't care for anything else.
And that condition has not changed. If Ellen
exactly.
is in an adverse situation, she can cause as much damage to his
So a lot of people are
anything.
looking at the old man as being I don't want to use the word, I would say the uncompromising one. But probably he could have a reason for being that way. But do we know? We don't know. All we know is that they just could not reconcile. Over what? Let the electorate know. Then we'll sympathize with you and be able to. These are the things that brought in the chances. If you still have a chance of going back in the race. But we don't know this. For example, there was a case that Councillor Gonglo had with the government when he was serving in. What did he do? He let the public know and he resigned. He took a stand. When you do this kind of thing, they will know the reason why you stand down or the reason why you did what you did. But it did not happen. You went through successfully. What's next now? If we're supposed to trust you and you find yourself in similar situation, how will you deliver for us? That's my concern. So most of the electors, like someone will look at him as he being the troublesome one. Probably might have not been the troublesome one. Probably might be advocating on the rest side. But do we know that? No.
So I don't want to come across as defending Mr. Boakai here because I don't know the details, just as you do.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I don't think we should emphasize the issue so much of compromising because you want something, you want to be president.
Well,
so
that's politics, Alfonso. It's not
well,
civil rights, civil society.
I will learn to be a politician later on and try to compromise with people even when I feel that they're doing wrong so I can win a seat in government. Maybe I will try to learn that. I'm not there yet.
So that you can solve problems too. I don't know what you have said.
Just winning seat, you gotta be able to solve problem too.
Yeah, so I guess I hope the suggestion is not that you want to win and get in and solve problems. So ignore problems now so that when you get there, hopefully you can solve them.
Is that what we are experiencing now with getting into bed with Prince Johnson?
Well, that could very well be. And that was my concern as I stated before. But at the same time, in as much as I know Prince Johnson's influence or potential influence on Koung, I do not want to do two things. One, I do not want to transfer Prince Johnson's alleged crimes and misdeeds onto Mr. Koung. I think we will be making a mistake.
No, but that's not.
The second thing is
that's not an insinuation, Alfonso. What I don't want us to miss is that
it's potential influence.
We do not know of any crime Jeremiah Koung has committed, and that doesn't appear to be the case. He looks like a hardworking guy who has earned his wealth. His position in this political arrangement is a gift that requires compromises. I'll be an idiot to think that the vice president did not consider Prince Johnson's nominee to be his vice president. He considered that for nothing. No,
obviously not. One of the reasons he considered that is he wants the Nimba vote, and he thinks that Koung and Prince Johnson can bring the Nimba vote. That is a consideration. Obviously, it's clearly at the same time, though, there are two issues here. One, transferring Prince Johnson's crimes to Koung. Two, assuming that Prince Johnson will have such a massive influence over Koung, and Koung will in turn have such a massive influence over Boakai that Prince Johnson will be running the show. Or that whatever Prince Johnson wants will be what Boakai will do. Yes, that's a concern we should have, but I don't think it should be that overwhelming because for several reasons. Again, history tells us that vice presidents do not have that much influence, whether in the United
Let me hold you there for a minute.
Liberia.
Have you considered the likelihood, and this is not something that I have been pitching. This is something that people from the Unity Party, Balu, other people have been. I say Unity Party, I say it firmly. I don't want to call names. That when the issue of unifying the ticket between communists and Boakai was pushed forward, one of the argument was that look at the old man. He's of age. Why are you not taking this stuff? We're not even sure he will finish his first term. Has the old man gotten younger? No. So that also applies to Koung.
Yep.
So there is a good possibility that we might be making Prince Johnson president of Liberia by proxy. Have you not considered that?
So I don't want to say I have the concern, I have the fear. No, let's be clear here. Again, I have the concern that Prince Johnson. I have a concern regarding Prince Johnson's influence over Koung, especially if Koung were to become president. That is a legitimate concern. At the same time, I'm not going to go off the limb to say that Prince Johnson will be de facto president of Liberia. I wouldn't go as far as saying that. Yes. In fact, the reason we're talking about vice president today is because of the old man's age and health. Other than that, I wouldn't be having a conversation about vice president because traditionally vice presidents don't do nothing until the president gives them the authority to do something. So for me, that will be an important consideration more so than influencing Boakai to do something. It would be, what if Boakai, God forbid, passes or becomes incapacitated? Then Koung takes over. That's where my concern will be, more so than Prince Johnson will influence Koung will influence Boakai to not implement Boakai's programs and agenda. So
that second point you raised is an eminent, it's a reality. That's the whole idea of vice president, to be in a position to replace a president.
Yeah.
And now the drum has been beat for a while now that there is a likelihood that may become necessary. Now, what we have now as the potential option is Prince Johnson dressed up in Jeremiah Koung. That's the reality of us.
Oh, I see it. I see it myself. I'm not wishing Prince Johnson away. I mean, I don't think it's. At the same time, I also do know that young people do die too.
Okay. I get that point. Look, we'll come around the other side. We'll talk a little more about the issue of actual governance.
Yeah, I think we should focus on governance.
Yeah, sure, Ambassador.
Who's going to die tomorrow and who's going to die the day after tomorrow?
Should Ambassador Boakai win the elections in October? What governance look like with Ambassador Boakai and his young Vice President Jeremiah Koung? I'll get back to Harry Belafonte. There's award program sometimes ago that he gave a speech. It was NAACP event, and I thought we should share that while in this interlude while we come out with the next set of discussions. So join me in there.
Let me start off by saying thank you to the NAACP and Jealous for the work you do and for the path you are forging for us in these troubled times. The group most devastated by America's obsession with the gun is African Americans. Although making comparisons can be dangerous, there are times when they must be noted. America has the largest prison population in the world. And of the over 2 million men, women, children who make up the incarcerated, the overwhelming majority is black. They are the most unemployed, the most caught in the unjust systems of justice. And in the gun game, we are the most hunted. The river of blood that washes the streets of our nation flows mostly from the bodies of our black children. Yet, as the great debate emerges on the question of the gun, white America discusses the constitutional issue of ownership, while no one speaks of the consequences of our racial carnage. The question is, where is the raised voice of Black America? Why are we mute? Where are our leaders, our legislators? Where is the church? Not all, but many have been the recipients of this distinguished award. Many were men and women who spoke up to remedy the ills of the nation. They were committed to radical thought. They were my mentors, my inspiration, my moral compass. Through them, I understood America's greatness. Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, Martin Luther King Jr., Eleanor Roosevelt, and others like Fannie Lou Hamer and Ella Baker, Bobby Kennedy, Condi Rice, and perhaps most important of all for me, Paul Robeson. He was the sparrow. He was an artist who made us understand the depth of that calling when he said, "Artists are the gatekeepers of truth. We are civilization's radical voice." Never in the history of Black America has there ever been such a harvest of truly gifted and powerful artists as we witness today. Yet, our nation hungers for their radical song. Let us not sit back silently. Let us not be charged with patriotic treason. I thank my friend Sidney Poitier for stepping to the plate. I promise you, Sid, you'll never have to do this again. But my congratulations to all of those who are honored here tonight. And I will tell you that our kids, those who languish in the prisons of America, are waiting for us to change the system. Thank you.
That was the global artist and human rights icon Harry Belafonte, who sadly left us at the age of 96 last Tuesday, April 25th. As I said, we are dedicating this program to his memory. Okay, guys, this segment of the program, I thought we should talk about governance, but I think we left something out though. Maybe we should throw that question out. With the debacle or the celebration at the Unity Party right now with the selection of Jeremiah Koung, does that benefit or hurt the other branch of the opposition? Does that benefit or hurt the We Are campaign?
I'll let Mr. Wright go first. He might have some insight.
Mr. Wright, you are muted.
Yeah,
Good,
thank you.
good.
I want to speak on two fronts. One
And,
from
and just a minute, right? Just so our audience know,
Mhm.
our views here, if I may restate, are subjective. They are not based
Yes,
on
indeed.
any empirical fact. It's just based on our own experience, our perception, our strength, and our limitations on all these matters. So take that as an intellectual discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, not something for you to put poison in my coffee, right? If you're watching us on YouTube, uh, we'll be happy if you can click subscribe. That way, we have you, and you can also get a heads up every time our program come up. If you are watching on Facebook, click like or dislike or something, just so we know that you're participating with us. If you like to call and participate in the program, give a counter view, or ask a question, you can send us a text in the chat room, or you can call this number WhatsApp 832-859-8057, or call direct. I have the phone on the table, 713-909-4460, and then we'll have you participate. Okay, go ahead, right? Thank you. Thank you for giving me that minute.
Thank you, Cyrus. I want to speak from two perspectives. Even though the question is directed to the CDC, will it hurt? Is it going to hurt the CDC side? Well, I don't think it's going to hurt the CDC side. I don't see it that way from the CDC perspective. They actually wanted a disjointed opposition. But they also may not be able to realize what a disjointed opposition will cause on the remnant of the opposition. So I also want to speak for the CDC-led side and the remnant of the opposition.
What is the remnant of the opposition?
Okay, so the opposition split in two. I'll put it that way. CPP split in two. We got the Boakai, Ure, and the fractional Liberty side, that is with Boakai right now. And we got the other Liberty side.
That was before Friday.
Yes. On the Cummins side, now Cummins have been sailing on a smooth wave so far, not very rough water per se. So what it's going to do, what's happening?
Can you explain that to us a little bit? What's the smooth
smooth
wave?
in the sense that within the ANC, in all Hello political organs, you got to get a friends of Cummins, ANC Global, ANC Political Party. There has been no disunity in the ranks and file. I believe not that they are free from problems. Things they also encountering other problems, but they've been solving it at that level. They continue to maintain their officers out there, and wherever pronouncement comes from within the rank and file, their party is being promulgated by those that are responsible to do so. So they're sailing. All right. Intensively on the ground, I cannot articulate how much work they've done on the ground to put them in the full front, like a blue tsunami thing going on, green tsunami, and all of that. Okay, come back to it. Will they hurt the CDC? CDC, to an extent, it's a yes and it's a no. No, it won't hurt the CDC because from the CDC perspective, they think that it will not hurt them because one of the wishes is to have a disjointed opposition. So they're glorifying that right now from most of my CDC and they're happy. But now the effect is that the fact that this has happened, it could strengthen the other side of the remnant, I call it remnant, the coming side of the opposition. It could, because right now, coming laid back right now, all the ANC people, now they're going to be very articulate in choosing their VP. All right, they want to put someone up front there that will be able to mobilize, someone that will have that international reputation, that will have that or integrity-based reputation, politically inclined. That perspective, I think that's what they're working on. If that happens, I'm telling you, CDC will regret it. That is a no side. Then wherever wish they have had, now they've seen the effect.
Is it out of the books at all of for a Yumli or the Venda Yue group to align with the OCPV?
If I'm a Somas, if I'm a speak from the ANC side, the remnant on the other side, I don't know. They're showing olive branch, but from the spokesman, I'm not very sure whether it is. Is that actually an olive branch? So those who don't know the olive branch, you gotta take a deep look at it to get a recognize. Yes, before you stretch your hand.
What you got to lose?
Well, yeah, we can say that because now they're going to be very careful. So he is saying, "Hey guys, come home. We're here together. We have some problem. We can solve it up. Come home." But then the Liberty Party now looking at the key players like Nyemah Boakai and my dear friend Senator Dillon. I don't know. I wanted to take a deep look, and they must be sincere within themselves politically to see whether the olive branch they're taking is it just based on now my interest as Senator Dillon or I'm Senator Nyemah, or am I going there again to play another game? So they need to come home and be very serious. If they do that, I can guarantee you that side of the opposition will build up. It will become strong, and that's going to hurt the CDC now this time around. That's what I'm looking at.
Have you heard of any move in other direction? Maybe ability coming reaching out to Yumli and those people. Maybe it's
Yeah,
happening.
you see, that's why I
don't
said
know.
yes. Ability said that, but then on the other side, when I listened to him previously, before he even made that, he made another strong statement. That's what I'm saying. The olive branch that he's trying to hand out, I want them to look at it. Anybody who's supposed to be holding that olive, please look at it and make sure that what I'm looking at is olive branch before I stretch my hand to catch it. Or else, let's remember where we are. As what the Ghanaian fighting guy once said, there's a wave moving around. Let it play out. Let the invisible hand come in and play it out, and the dust will settle. And then every piece is to fall in place based on their weight and their relevance and everything.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I may come in real quickly here. First of all, will it hurt the CDC? Will it hurt the other side of the opposition, or even will it hurt Boakai, etc.? I don't know for sure. I mean, this is politics, as we said earlier. A number of things would depend on what happens going forward with the small coalition that Yuri and Boakai
About got put together.
have put together, and also Yumbly. I think that's a factor. Is it broken? Is it irreparable? We don't know as yet. That's another thing we have to consider. The other thing is, what part of your question was, or at least part of what Mr. Wright said, is will they now go back to the what's left of the CPP, which is Cummings' ability, and say, well, we didn't get selected as vice president over there, so we're here. Again, do they think they will be selected as vice president over there? What if they're not selected as vice president or something over there? Would they now run to the CDC or to something else? So I think there's also a bigger issue that we as voters and as Liberians need to look at. Are these politicians really just making all this noise and going other things because of what they can personally get for themselves? Is it about a vision? Is it about making real change for the people? Yeah. And we should hold them accountable to those things because they made these statements before and they continue to make them. I wrote a piece a while ago that I called Meet the Political Hopo Joes of Liberia, where they go here and they don't get selected, and they go to the other place and they don't get selected, and they form these alliances just for the sake of what they can get for themselves and to divvy up positions. Consequently, no real change is being made in the country. And I think we again have a responsibility, and I think you're doing that with this show, but other means as well, to educate our people about these things as well, and to force our politicians to come to the realization that what the people need, and hopefully respond to that, is that what the people need is real change, and is not necessarily brought about because somebody is a vice presidential candidate, etc. Again, if they had serious differences with Cummings, if the thing Cummings committed fraud yesterday, the thing Cummings is a fraudulent person, are they going back because they're not elected as vice president to overlook Cummings fraud? Let's balance that. So
That's politics.
again, yeah, exactly. Then will that affect your CDC? I've heard I'm on another show where we had LPP people on the show. The LPP, as you all know, the standard bearer is Councillor Gonglo, where the LPP Secretary General, it's on record saying just Friday that if this race goes to the second round, which other party goes to the second round with the CDC, that they in the opposition bloc will support that opposition candidate in order to
Yeah, makes
CDC
sense. Yeah.
from power. So again, there might be a lot of work going on behind
Yeah,
the
behind the
background,
scenes, you know.
behind the scenes that we're not aware of. I also did see, I also did hear Omen Boakai in his speech congratulate Alari Tokba and Dr. Dugba Chris Nyan and other people who, again, from the base of the LPP,
Yeah,
although,
but Larry, they ain't got no number behind that
no,
fight.
I'm saying, yeah. So again,
I hope Larry listening. That asked this one. I've been rolling. I've been rolling that dice, my man. Since
yeah,
the Pope was an altar ball, my man. You still
okay,
can't. You still can't get six, my man.
yeah.
Yeah, we need to.
So, but at the end of the day, it's about what the people want, what the Liberian people want, and what they expect. And I'll end on this note. Um, I don't know what the Unity Party of Mr. Boakai or Mr. Koung did, but on Friday, I saw a huge crowd of Liberians turn up
Yeah,
to
people
witness.
they were inspired. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Were they inspired? Are they tired? Do they want change? And did they go there to be a part of change? Again, whether it hurts the CDC or not, this is a consideration that we should also look at. Sometimes it just comes to the point where the people are just saying, look, we're tired. We're tired with this system and we want something new and let's contribute towards it. I,
Technically, the Unity Party is nothing new. But
yeah,
I think the Liberian people, a large number of the Liberian people, love and believe in the integrity of Ambassador Boakai, and they will hope that he will have the chance to govern. Now, I got a statement in the chat from somebody. I I don't know if the strength of that party are cop. Maybe one of you guys know. They're lifting the former Minister of Finance, I think, Lucini Kamara, say he must be consulted. I don't know, consulted on what basis beyond what the vice president did with Yumli and Benana, or they should they should seek his approval, or I don't know. The opposition must take serious the position of icon in this election. Lusuni Kamara must be consulted. Well,
yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah,
That is our political culture, right? We go into these political parties with fun stuff in a hope that we can be brought to the table, and hopefully the few voters we have can come to the table. I don't see anything wrong with consulting with people, anybody for that matter. I think even the Yana boys and the boys in the street that we call Zogo, unfortunately,
Yeah, be consulted also.
should all be consulted about the future of our country.
Yeah.
the Elections Commission has completed the first round of voters registration. They're going to the last, I think, 9 counties. Already, the numbers from the first counties that were registered is significantly higher than those on the voters roll in the last elections. So, in subsequent programs, we'll be bringing those numbers, making the comparison as we go forward. But there's something that crossed my mind just now when I saw this ICOP request from somebody to consult with ICOP. On our election laws, any party or independent candidate that cannot gather 2% of the vote cast in an election, according to the national elections law, that party should be
Cease to exist.
deregistered.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the I probably pull that up. If you look at the records of the parties in the last election, most of the parties that I named as parties today did not meet those
benchmark.
Requirements.
did not meet those requirements. Now, if they have met the requirements, okay, here we're in the middle of a continuous quid pro quo, where people have political parties, supposedly political parties, and they are waging these political parties in the election circle so that they can get a chance to either influence positions or vice president or maybe be minister and all that. When the elections are not only about the voting component, the elections are also about the entire system. I'm trying to go to the percentile of votes that were cast. If you can see that sheet, I don't know what is clear enough. The first one, two, three, four, five, the first five parties ending with Alexander Cummings. So that's George Manawia, 28.4%. Joseph, no, 38.4%. Joseph Boakai, 28.8%. Charles Brumskin, 9.6%. Prince Johnson, 8.2%. Alexander Cummings, 7.2%. Then the number dropped. The next number is 1.6%. If we're following that law to the letter, right?
Yep.
Ben Ayure, Joseph Mills Jones, Madela Cooper, Henry B. Famole, Oscar Cooper, Madonna Wenton, Simeon Freeman. I guess Simeon Freeman runs all the time. In that election, he had 0.4% of the vote. We're amounting to about 7,000 people. Aloysius Pade, Kennedy Sandy, George Due, William Tidal, Jeremiah Whipple, Yakpajua Mator, and Wendell McIntosh. All these people and their parties got below 1.7% of the vote. It really matters if you have all these people as parties when you really should be having only 3 parties.
I know, right?
Yeah. How you in civil society and been working with elections? How do you get the elections commission to be able to enforce the law?
So the election commission on its own, knowing its laws, let's begin from there, should enforce the laws. But I think it will not because, of course, it hasn't. So, and I'm also concerned, of course, political parties will not take the other political.
I think we lost the Fonso for a second, but we can get him back.
For a while.
Yeah,
He's
let me
back.
see.
Yeah, we got you. We got you back.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, for example, the CDC or the Unity Party and the other parties, LP, might not be willing to go to court to challenge the other political parties to be desert because then they won't be able to get their support. So again,
Is that not the easiest way to get a support to just go to there and say, look, guess what? Yeah, just join our ranks?
Well, that's part of the reason why they register their political parties. They know they will not win. What they're looking for is the same thing that one of the posters just said: consultation, and then they will get some seats. They will negotiate and say, "Well, get our 2 ministries and get our this and that, and we give you our vote." So, I think at that point, it's unfortunate, and I'm putting a lot on civil society here. But various civil society organizations can take the election commission to court and say, hey, here's the situation here. These people, according to election law, should not be here, and you are not implementing election law. And we, Supreme Court, we want you to make sure that they enforce election law. Again, that is something that can be done. that I hope can be done to address this situation. But also, I think without letting the other political parties off the hook, that they should also push on making sure, and that's how we can trim the number of political parties we have in the country, and focus our voters on selecting the right people instead of just dividing their votes, especially with people who just want to sell influence to get money or jobs.
And the very nature of our election laws and the system is designed around numbers.
Yeah.
So if you are registering a vote, you're required to have headquarters in at least 6 counties. You are
Yep.
supposed to show a tally of, I think, 500 or 600
In each
in
of
each
7 or 8 counties.
yeah, who have signed on to that. I
Yeah.
think all those laws were intended to show numbers, because if the party is in compliance with that, then they shouldn't be demonstrating in the vote count. Some party got 1,200 votes in the whole
Yeah.
election of 2.18 million
Million
people.
people. Yep. Yep. And that is sad. So the election commission is not even enforcing election laws. First of all, I don't think any of those counties meet the pre-registration. Well, I don't think a lot of those parties meet the pre-registration requirements even. We should just allude to having offices in at least 7 or 8 or 15 counties, registering a certain number of voters. I believe it's 100,000 or what. I don't know the exact figures. Having at least 500 people. And part of the reason that this doesn't happen is they don't even compel these political parties to publish the names of people that they actually have registered in these counties.
They're also required to
Yeah.
keep a minimum balance in
Yeah.
the party account of 10,000 United States dollars.
Exactly. I was even coming to the financial aspect of it. Do they even audit these people's accounts to see what other money is in there? What I've heard some of them do, they go and borrow money from somewhere, they put it in their account, and then
they print the statement.
They print the statement, they take it to election commission. Once it gets certified, they return the person money, and there's no money.
Wow.
And let me add something to that. You see, the government of Liberia should begin now to tell us where her priority lies. You know, I work with the Elections Commission. I joined in during the G. Henry Andre era as a presiding officer. I remained at the commission until I became magistrate for Grand Cape County. I served there 2 years before I left Liberia. Like what you're saying, Afonso, I did a report when I did assessment in my county, and I reported to my commissioner oversight that it is on the same books. All the magistrates are supposed to be stationed and based in the county when you build the head offices. Then we got people at the town, I don't know what name they're calling them now, but they were the coordinators. Those coordinators are supposed to be placed between districts. Now, when a political party registers and say, I got 500 members in Grand Cape County, as per the law, I, as a magistrate, supposed to be able to go to verify that, because they will consult me. I am the eyeball in the county. Are those things going on? Or we're just going to print a list and send it to the commission, and the commission just sit out there in an air-conditioned swivel chair and then just okay it? These are some of the problems, the hiccups. But now when you go to press, my brother, there's no funding to keep even the magistrate on ground. I joined the commission when I was promoted as magistrate. 3 months, I didn't even take pay. Was supposed to be making like $700 some more dollars a month. As soon as we got a new commissioner for the commission, Mr. Paul Goa, they cut us down to $319. Frustrating effort. One Jeep, we're sharing it between counties. Washington Farmer in Bapolu, the other guy in Bomi, I'm in Cape Mount. How do you work? So these are some of the problems. So the government need to prioritize. I don't know who in the government, which branch should force what or which branch to ensure that these things come about.
Yeah, LACC, the anti-corruption,
so that's
commission.
The whole government of Liberia. There's a
But
problem.
then you got Nabudigi there and all that kind of stuff.
So you see, look, we like. I feel sorry for the country. I feel sorry for the citizens. Those of us who do not occupy the position of trust to make things happen, to push the old car and let it start and let it go. We watch to see whether it will start before we get on board. We are the sufferers. I'm speaking for the ordinary citizens. You see, so that's why I take paramount to who become what in Liberia. It's time for the government to prioritize. See.
Okay, I could ask a question about what governance would be when Nyemah Boakai, if you become president, but I think that would be too superficial. Since the focus now is how you get elected with all these intricacies and interplays that are going on. So we're just about exhausted most of our time. So I would like us to do the rounds. You know, we've talked about the big event, the highly expected naming of the vice presidential running mate for Ambassador Boakai. So we have now Jeremiah Koung, young 45-year-old Nimba senator. Congratulations to the people of Ganta and Nimba County. I think it's a big deal. We can only wish them the best. So I would like you guys to give your parting comments on the current situation, as these things are going to be continuously moving pieces. So we'll be talking about it over and over as time goes by. I hear Alfonso, he said that he's not a compromiser. So he's not a compromiser. You draw the hard lines. Yeah. Okay, let's start with right. Jimo, you got anything to leave with us considering this issue? Lessons we can learn as we go forward.
You see, Sarah, thank you very much. And in my closing, I just want us to reflect a little bit. Liberia as a state has been on a crossroad, all right, to, should I say, justify her sovereignty since she pronounced herself in 1847 as an independent country on the continent of Africa. We function in that light, and we help other states gain independence. We represent it well. But at home, all has not been well. All that led to a whole lot of changes that brought about a coup. Maybe we can input that if we don't know the real technical arm behind the whole coup thing. But nationally, there was certain things that were interplaying that caused that to happen, then the war. And now we are struggling to make it up on broken pieces. It's not an easy effort. We need to be serious, especially the electors, those that we're voting for, and the politicians. If you want vote in the country, if you want to lead, let us know who you are. Give us your platform. Dillon, as one of the recent aspirants and Senator.
Sorry, Jimmy.
Yeah, no problem. He was playing. And I resonated with him because he told the Liberian people, the job to be a senator is not to build your house. It's not to pave road. I'm not buying your baby diaper. The function is this. Either you take me as I am or leave it. That guy was very stern in that. I admire him for that. That's what drove me there. So I'm saying to my Liberian people, both the electors and the politicians, start jaggering the minds of our electors. Stop confusing them. Direct them through the course of action by your policies and the way you interact in your institutions. And for the electorate, I know democracy, we're not that inclined to even vet a potential candidate. We do it based on affiliations, all forms of affiliations. However, I want you to, this time, coming the 2023 election, ask any of your big brother who understands the play, follow somebody. If you cannot make a decision, but you need to make a decision, because any decision that is taken wrongly, we've done it before. Liberia, I don't want to say it's doomed. We exist as a nation, but will remain as an unstable state for a very, very long time.
Thank you, Mr. Roy. Alfonso, before you come here, let me give you a food for thought so you can have something to add to what you kind of say. I see you pushing back on this.
Reports from news media or yellow journalists that we don't have a powerful support base is false and misleading. People want to benefit from their resources. People want to have a fair share of the resources. People want to have a say in who governs them in the counties. Instead of appointing in Monrovia and imposing leaders over the people, they want to elect their own people who will account and answer to them. It is only in Liberia the president wants to have solid control over the people, so they therefore appoint leadership over them. This is wrong. We are in a modern area and we want to modernize our politics. No, I don't want to jump the gun. You know, that's my trump card. I hold my trump card.
Well, President Johnson gave a last laugh on the appointment and the selection of the candidates is Trump.
So,
Okay, Apostle, go ahead.
so definitely, let me clear the air here if I wasn't clear enough. I do understand that Prince Johnson definitely has influence over Mr. Koung, and that he might try to exercise that influence over Mr. Koung, and that is a concern, as I stated before. My position here is that we do not have to allow that to happen. And one of the ways we can make sure that that doesn't happen is to pressure the principal, who has said all along that he will implement the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation. Now, we don't even have them as president yet. The people from the various political parties, the CDC, the ANC, should definitely go ahead and discredit this ticket and say Prince Johnson is affiliated with them, and Mr. Koung could become president if Mr. Ambassador Boakai passes away, or even if he's still alive. Somehow Koung will drive the ship. If that is the argument, by all means, the politicians, opposition people opposed to them should go ahead and make that argument. My position here, however, is that civil society has a role to play. Part of our problem in Liberia is we elect people and we leave it all up to them to make the changes that we want or that we think should happen. And then we sit and complain because they're not doing what we want them to do.
Yeah.
Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. If you don't hold these people accountable, if you don't push them, they will not do what you want them to do. And coming from the civil society point of view, the civil society background, this is what I will push. Then let's go beyond the president. The presidency has enormous power in Liberia, but let's look at the legislators. I would think that our national legislature is one of the most corrupt arms in our and most unresponsive part of our government. You just talk about Mr. Wright, senators building roads. I was laughing the other day, but also crying when I saw a representative and a senator in Montserrat County they hire a yellow machine and they go and grade some kind of grass off and they say the bare road for the people. Where's the feasibility study? Whether that road should even be in that place? Are you even putting it well? Where are you putting culverts so it doesn't get swept away tomorrow? Do you even need culverts there? Is that where the road should even be built? So again, I think we should not leave it all to the people once we go to the polls and elect them. We should be on their backs and hold them accountable. And we all have a role to play on the ground at civil society organizations. How many times have people gone to very quickly, a few years back, I went to South Africa and I worked with an NGO there. And part of what they do is they go in the rural places and educate local people about the function of the legislature and what their legislators are supposed to be doing. Then during debates over the national budget or programs, they transport some of those people to the seat of the legislature to watch their legislators debate and to find out whether these people are actually fighting for them and trying to put money in the budget for them, for education, for healthcare, etc. Then they follow up with them to see whether the money that's in the budget is even being disbursed. An NGO was doing that. So again, that's a role that some of us should play and can play in the country. The U.S. ambassador to Liberia just confirmed something we've been arguing all along. They put all this money in the budget is never get disbursed. What does the senator from Nimba say? What does the representative from number 10 says, district number 10 say when the school or clinic in his district breaks down? More importantly, what are the people in district number 10 doing to this representative? What are they saying to him? I think that's, again, that would be my message to the Liberian people, that we need to hold these people accountable. We need to ask them questions, and we need to ask ourselves, is my life better off since this man has been my representative for the past several years of this? Is this yellow machine greater role he's bringing? Is that what I need? Is that what's going to improve my life? Where are the jobs? Mental health, I was looking at the budget in Liberia, a country coming out of war, is $30,000 per year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think this is where our focus should be. And those would be my part.
Yeah, but guys, again, thanks for joining this informative and amusing discussion about our country. As things unfold, we hope that much more flesh will be added on to the different sets of tickets that we're going to be confronting in October. But right now, we have Ambassador Boakai. His name is running mate, Jeremiah Koung. Initially, we asked the question, who is Koung? And we used his own words to talk about himself. I know he didn't say much about his work in present day. First starting from the House of Representatives and now a member of the Senate. But I think it would be good if we can hear from him again. He is the guy in subject. So we'll run a few minutes of Koung talking about his early life, and we'll close with a small tribute to Harry Belafonte, in whose memory we've dedicated today's show.
So, again, my name is Jeremiah Koung. I was born in Yekepa, 1978, 17 March. My mother's name is Esther Makaku. My father's name is Adam Sonny Koung. My father used to work for Yekepa, and he was redundant in 1983. I started school in Area C school in Yekepa, Nimba County. We had to move to Ganta in 1983 because my father was redundant. In Ganta, when we got there, things were difficult. And so I attended the Bayside Woolstown Rehab School. That school was built for people who suffer from leprosy at the time and other disease. They were built by the rehab to help children that could not afford. And so that is school I attended in Ganta. In 1985, right after the election and the coup, my aunt came, 86, my aunt came and took me to Buchanan, my father's younger sister. And I went to live with her. While in Buchanan, she's a disciplinarian person. And so I never had time to play football and play other things. That's why I don't even understand the football game up to today. What I know how to do best is housework. I can cook very well. Cooking is my passion. The same way other people go to watch football. That's how cooking is to me. In Bassa, I went to the first school I attended was the New Hope School. The New Hope School is around around Bidel, where they got Bidel Funeral Home on that same road, the government hospital road. Because there's a church there called New Hope.
Which year was that?
That was 1986. I attended that school. And I spent 1 year in that school and moved to demonstration in Buchanan. I attended demonstration. I was there for a year. And then I moved to WPL Bronski United School. I was there in the second grade in Bronski. I got promoted to the third grade. I was in the third grade in 1990. when the war came. And the war hit Buchanan May 1990, and we ran to LAC for refuge, and later came to Buchanan. Like I said, my auntie was a disciplinarian person who wanted me to grow up good and become a good child. But at a certain point as a child, I thought the whipping thing was too much. And so one day my auntie wanted to whip me. I said, "Auntie, you're not beating me today." And I left the house. I left the house.
Well, we'll leave it at that for Jeremiah Koung. It's we got a lot that we can learn about him. Like I said earlier, he was narrating some of the history of his early life. Uh, he's talking about 1990 and all that. So we're gonna be knowing a lot about this young 45-year-old senator who now may likely become a vice president for the Republic of Liberia. I would like to close up again a tribute to Harry Belafonte by old recording by Wycliffe Jean in event honoring the global artist and civil rights icon.
Yeah, Cyrus, do you have the full video on this Jeremiah Koung thing?
Yeah, I have the part one. We can find the part two. It's on the show, but I can find it and then we
can share. I for one, I really want to know him. And I didn't hear that anything that he lived with.
It's a humble spirit. I met him once.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm more interested in his political philosophy, what he's done politically, his voting pattern and stuff, you know, and why he votes for, what he stands for.
So we'll find out. We'll delve into him a little more. Okay, guys. But thanks a lot. We're in on this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, bro, for the platform.
Easy day, easy day, easy day, easy day, easy day. Daylight come and we won't go home. Work all night and we drinking around. Daylight come and we won't go home. Sitting in port, everybody having some fun. Daylight come and we won't go home. Tally me banana, tally me banana. Daylight come and me won't go. Say me say tally me, say tally me, say tally me banana. Daylight come and me won't go. Say me say 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot punch. Daylight come and me won't go. Say me say 8 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot punch. Daylight. Where you at? These are the words of a believer, achiever, leader of the globe, feed the souls of those in need. I bleed, blood of the struggle, walking over troubled puddles. The hustle's in my chest, no hustle, no progress. Look at the crowd and see the Lord live at the NAACP Awards. Is this a freestyle or a meditation? For Mr. Belafonte, it's a dedication. My man Clef, yo, he seen the day, yo. This is off the chain like Django. Jamie's in the house and so is Carrie W. We here to show y'all what brothers how the struggle do. From acting to activism to the music. To tell the truth, y'all, he the pulse of the movement. Black people, we survive like Beyonce, but this one here is for Harry Belafonte. 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot punch. Come on. Hands up, hands up. 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot punch. Come on. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I had to leave a little girl in Kingston town. Sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I had to leave a little girl in Kingston town. Away where the nights are gay and the sun shines daily on the mountain top.